Okay, so you find us here today at Duxford in the Lancaster in FS2020. I actually made one in FS2024, but then forgot that I needed to turn off my speakers. So I thought, well, we'll just do it in 2020. Okay, so what we're going to do today is go through some of the features, or should I say, things that might trip up some certain people regarding the Lancaster. So we'll start on the interior, and we'll just go in here and, well, this bloke here, he's going to get in your way quite considerably. So if you just use this toggle the settings panel, and we'll just get rid of him by turning him off. In FS2024, this function here, the camera control, is not working. We're not quite sure on why that might be just for now, but so in 2024, by all means, use your drone camera for the interior. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start the engines. Now I've actually done a little bit of work already, but I don't think I've remembered to put fuel in the plane. No, I have not. Okay, so we'll just put some fuel in. Like that. Come on, get out of my way. All right. So we actually have the battery on. I'll turn the battery off. Completely off. We're now essentially cold dark start. I've just been flying earlier. Just make sure the mixture's down as well. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start the engine, and like all good crews in the Lancaster, we start engine number 3 first, or the one closest to us on the starboard side. So to do that, we need power for the pumps and the junction settings, or should I say the selectors. So we'll turn on the external power. By the way, you saw me doing the refuel. The button next to external power is refuel, and it will refuel both number 1 and number 2 tanks on both sides, fairly quickly too, actually. However, I just used the inbuilt fuel manager. So we're just going to turn the battery on as well, because one of the weird things about this whole situation is you need both the external and the battery to work. Now you might be seeing that there are 4 green lights here. These fuel pumps here, for the people with peripherals, these fuel pumps are not your engine fuel pumps. I know that there's 4 there and there's 2 on either side, but they are in fact the tank pumps, and that's an important distinction to make. So in this case, we're actually going to start number 3 engine, which is on the starboard side. We always start with number 2. So we're going to click the number 2 fuel switch pump, which is now providing pressure to the number 2 starboard tank. However, we haven't yet selected it. So we're now going to select number 2 fuel tank. And now most of the rest of it can be done in this sort of view here. First cab off the rank is we're going to check the propellers. Quite hard to see in these. You may need to use your drone just to get down to the others. I happen to know that they're all in the up position, so I'm not going to bother checking that. And I'm also going to crack open the throttle a bit. And we're just going to come back to the mixture in a second. We're also going to open the master fuel cock. Now, I always forget this. Another little problem, if you like, is that the fuel cock, despite it not being electric in real life, is considered electric in the game. So for you to use these fuel cocks, you must have the battery on, and preferably with the external power as well. So we've put that on. Now we'll go back to the mixture settings now. This mixture lever there is just one mixture lever to handle all 4 engines, and that is how the Lancaster was. What we've done for the game and for peripheral use is that this mixture lever is actually mixture lever for engine 1, and engines 2, 3, and 4, or the inner left and both right engines, are then twinned to mixture 1. So if you're setting your levers at home, set it to mixture lever 1. You don't need to worry about 2, 3, and 4. Another thing that came across our help desk was that the indicator lights aren't working, and you can see that they're not working right now. That is purely because I have yet to turn the power on for the gear indicator, and we can turn it on and off up there. We'll leave it off for now. So with the mixture set to full and the master fuel cock on and the throttle cracked just a snodule, that's a technical term, we'll come up and use this area of the starting procedure. Now I'm going to start with both mags for engine number 3, and I'm going to open the starter cover. Now, one thing that we've noticed coming through on the help desk is some people are saying it's not starting, and that is because this master coil booster must be on. So we'll turn that on, and now we can start the engine. And there it is. Our friends at... Oh, shut that down for a moment. Our friends at Echo 19 have done an absolutely amazing job at the sound. Yes, it's a little noisy. We asked them to make it a little bit noisier than usual. That's because we're Warbird fans. We don't do the GA stuff. We like noisy agricultural stuff. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to do before we are ready to start some of the other engines, just to make sure that the electric power is still okay. You know, currently we've got the actual external power still on, so that's not a problem. It's not going to run down the battery. However, if you remove the external power at this point, like you should also make sure that the alternators are on. And the quickest way to get there is via the nav station on this dial. Remember, if you're in FS2024, I'm afraid you're going to have to use the camera drone to get down the back. This is broken in that game. So we'll just pop that to nav station and we'll fly out there. Yes, here is all the nav radios that you can use. However, we are going to focus purely on this panel here. Now currently everything is off, and also you'll notice that there are two red lights. Those two red lights are indicating that both the port and starboard fields are not set on, and that's an important thing to note. With these in the off position, you cannot, the tooltip says you can, but you cannot turn on the alternator. So with that said, what we need to do is turn on the field, and then we can turn on the alternator. And you may have just noticed that the alternator charging immediately jumped on. So with that said, we can go back to the pilot section for a moment. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's go back to the flight engineer and pop that. That takes us over to this view here. It's almost okay, but yeah, and as you can see, in each individual area there is a setting for you to use. Now what we can do now is turn off the external power, because we've now got generators. We can check our fuel gauges while we're here. Turn them off again. And, well, basically we're ready to fly. For the people that haven't bought the Lancaster yet, you might be wanting to hear what it sounds like. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cheat here. We're going to do a Control E. It does actually start them all correctly, so we'll do a Control E. Just wait for them all to start. You can hear them all starting there in the background. There's the ATC telling me that I shouldn't be where I am, but you know what we say to the ATC people, don't we? Now with that in mind, let's go to the outside, and I'm going to use the drone view just to quickly show you what that looks like and sounds like. So we're in the outside view at the present moment. To the people that are flying around me, g'day fellas, how are you? If you're ever around and you see us about, just say hello. We get a few people buzzing us while we're doing our testing, which is kind of cool. But there she is, in all her glory. I don't want to get too close to the props, of course. And essentially, you're ready to go. So the purpose of this was just to show you the starting procedure, but also just for the peripheral owners. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy flying.